Parfait Onanga-Anyanga. Welcome in the Guira FM studio.
Thank you.
What is today's security situation in the country, in Central African Republic, and what is the United Nations missions doing with the partners from the international community in order to let peace prevail again in this country?
Well, we're doing a lot of things. First, we must always remember that peace is a process. And whatever amounts of military force we may deploy in this country, it will have to be first and foremost a desire of the Central Africans to live together as one people, united by a common history and a promise that they will be living together in a peaceful nation. At the same time, as you know, a peacekeeping mission alone cannot succeed if it is not underpinned by a political process. Today, we have a political process which is supported by the African Union under the leadership of the government, with the backing of international partners, including Minusca. We have always to remember that in this country today, 2018, we have way far away from what we witnessed in this country in 2013, 2014. So there has been, a number of improvements that are absolutely, remarkable. However, we have to acknowledge that the challenges remain huge. We have and daunting. We have still a number of armed groups. We have an awful fragmentation of several, armed groups still roving throughout the country and pillaging the nation's resources. The bulk of the violence that we're seeing is a result of the competition that these armed groups are really having with each other. And this is, of course, coming with an awful amount of suffering for civilian population. So we're doing everything we can to contain this violence while supporting, of course, a peace process.
Do you think that we are approaching the end of violence undertaken by these armed groups in the country? Well,
it would be too, too quick to call. I've said it. I still believe that it is a huge challenge. We have today a disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration process that is underway. There is an offer on the table for these armed groups to come together and to discuss a path forward out of this crisis. But, it will require, of course, the strong political engagement of the region as well, because there will be no peace in the Central African country without the backing of regional powers. And this is being, facilitated by the African Union and by ourselves. But at the same time, it has to be clear that at the end of this process of dialogue, there will be a need to also, use some degree of pressure on these armed groups. And I'm confident that Minusca, with its new capabilities, as decided by the Security Council, and as we are now in slowly but surely receiving these additional capacities, we'll be in a greater position to exert more pressure on armed groups on the ground. And I'm also growingly, becoming confident as we are working way better with national authorities. We're seeing, international partners coming along and supporting the training of the FACA, which is the National Defense Forces. Yeah. This is done by the European Union Training Mission, which has the mandate to train national defense forces. We have many partners coming along: France, the United States, China, the Federation of Russia. All of them are coming along and providing, vital support in terms of equipment, logistical support, and this gives me hope that the day when the state will become the sole legitimate force in the country is getting closer. Okay. However, there is a note of caution. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in a military solution in the crisis that we're seeing in CAR. Because it's a huge country, it will require enough amount of resources, to provide the support, any effort a sustainable effort by the government to be, to fund any such military effort. So I don't believe that is the way to go. The way to go will be a combination of a strong political engagement, nationally driven, backed by the region, backed by the international community, but also supported by a military capability that would encourage those who are still recalcitrant, not willing to come along, to understand that there will be no way out but to forge ahead with the peace process.
As you know, Guira FM is listened almost throughout the country, throughout the Central African Republic. So to finish this interview, what is your short message to the population and the message to the armed groups?
Well, it will remain a message of hope.
What do you tell them?
What I'm telling them is they should remain resilient. They should understand that there is no shortcut to peace. It will take the commitment and the strong, dedicated willingness of men and women of peace to ensure that this country, becomes more stable. It will also, of course, take the strong commitment of national authorities, supported by the international community. Ourselves, Minusca, we remain committed to the peace process. And I do believe, as we can see looking back, where we are today, though still faced with huge challenges, it is a better place than what we have seen, what we have witnessed in this country in the awful early months of 2014. So there is hope. Let's forge ahead and let's keep working together. And I'm very confident that it is a task that is absolutely, at our reach.
Parfait Onanga-Anyanga, Special Representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations in Central African Republic, I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.